What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we have finally made it to Mobile Suit Crossbone Gundam. This is a fan favorite, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for this one. Last time, we met Cecily in UC-123, who learned that she was a part of the Rona family. Seabrook fought in F-91 to take down the patriarch of the Rona family, Kurotso Rona, who went by the name Iron Mask. Crossbone Vanguard continued their occupation of Side 4's frontier colonies. The year is now UC-133, and peace talks begin once again as they learn that the Jupiter Empire plans on conquering the Earth's sphere. A young boy named Tobaya will get caught up in the middle of a war on the rise. So let's get into this. A transport ship is being attacked by space pirates. Here, we see the Batala and the Zondogay. The EMS-06 Batala is a mobile suit developed by the Jupiter Empire. Jupiter has limited resources, so they built mobile suit parts with standard functions. The heads have sensors, the hands have manipulator arms, and the feet have thrusters. Because they follow this design concept, the Batala doesn't have any built-in armaments. However, it utilizes basic weapons such as beam rifles, Gatling guns, sabers, etc. It also depends on two subflight systems, which we will talk about soon. The legs retract up into the thighs, which can be used in 0G, but guzzles way too much gas to use for long periods. This is a plot-based tech spec because the writers needed a reason for the Jupiter fleet to never catch the space pirates. Weapons include a beam shield, a beam saber, a beam rifle, a 4-tube missile launcher, a 2-barrel beam cannon, and a beam Gatling gun. The XM-08 Zondogay is the smallest mobile suit we have seen thus far, with a height of only 10 meters. However, its small size means a smaller reactor and smaller output of power. The Shot Lancer is the weapon of choice and helps conserve energy. Also, the beam cloak on its lower half can withstand 5 beam blasts before deteriorating. The Shot Lancer is also equipped with a heavy machine gun. Weapons include a beam shield, a beam rifle, and a beam saber. The captain tries to fend off the pirates when Crossbone Gundam makes its appearance. The X1 Crossbone Gundam X1 is developed by SNRI and is essentially the F-97 line of mobile suits. Extensive design changes are needed to handle low Jupiter orbit. Technically, you would distribute thrusters all over the body to increase maneuverability. However, with Jupiter's gravity, this would need to be increased greatly, making the mobile suits bulky and less mobile. To compensate for this, 4 movable thrusters were placed in an X-shaped array. This allows the thrusters to move around depending on its needs, while keeping the thrusters small. It has an anti-beam coating cloak, which can be stored in the Gundam's backpack and unfolded when needed. It too can only take 5 beam blasts. The mask that opens up on the face actually vents heat to get more performance out of the unit. This also has a core block system that has evolved since UC-79. It now utilizes a plug-in type core fighter, which stores the movable thrusters and beam sabers. It is equipped with a beam Zamber, which is a high-powered beam saber which looks like a pirate sword and has various different forms. Other weapons include Vulcans, a beam saber, a beam dagger, and much more. It has the evolution of the biocomputer that we've seen in F-91 as well. We cut to low Jupiter orbit. An interplanetary transport cruiser, the Smashian, finally makes it to Jupiter. On the ship is a young boy named Tobaya Aranax, who is very excited to finally make it to Jupiter. The ship prepares to dock with the station in low Jupiter orbit. Hidden in the shadows of Jupiter are the Jupiter space colonies. This is their final destination. Many exchange students are being welcomed, while others are given a speech before they head off to Earth. Tobaya wonders if there are any hot chicks on Jupiter. Priorities. One man is giving a speech about their leader, Krux Dogatti. They meet with Professor Karas. All the kids will split up depending on their course studies. They're eating while talking about weird cultural differences of Jovians. Why Jovians and not Jovenoids? Jupinoids? They all have numbers on their hands, and they all tend to wear gloves. They also greet each other by showing their number. One girl thinks it is some rank of some sort, but another brushes it off as cultural differences. The kids get news of a recent attack by the space pirates. This has been the 6th attack on a Jupiter-based transport. They also seem to have 2 Gundam-type mobile suits. That is when a little girl comes running through the chow hall while men chase her down. They say that she is a stowaway, but the girl says this is all lies. Before they could really process what is happening, the space pirates attack the satellite. Approaching them is Mother Vanguard. The Mother Vanguard was built on the principles of Crossbone Vanguard's aristocratic design sentimentalities. It has a golden goddess at the bow of the ship and utilizes a giant beam flag. It also has a Minovsky drive, which is near capable of interstellar travel like Jupiter's interplanetary vessels. However, this is a secret prototype, and thermonuclear propulsion is still added for everyday use. The Minovsky craft was originally designed by Butte Concern, and Anaheim Electronics will acquire this tech eventually by spying on this ship. It takes 3 months to travel from Earth to Jupiter, but with the Minovsky drive, it can make it in 150 hours. Slightly less than a week. These drives theoretically have no operating limit. It is equipped with megaparticle guns, anti-aircraft guns, and missile launchers. The ship, which is now docked to the satellite, launches Batellas. The two Gundams approach. With X1 is X2. The XMX2 Crossbone Gundam X2 is more or less the same as X1, but it has an anti-beam coating and utilizes the Shot Lancer with built-in heavy machine gun. It is also equipped with the Buster Lancer from the F-92 long-range type. Some of the Batellas are on the Accuserio. The EMA-01 Accuserio is a sublight system specifically designed to carry Batellas. It is equipped with a single megaparticle cannon. X2 lifts the Accuserio with the Batellas still on them and throws them into the satellite. An explosion goes off on the ship. A Batella pilot is injured. Tobia's main Gundam protagonist instincts kick in, and he gets into the mobile suit and launches. As he heads out, he spots X1 and fires, but it does nothing. He goes in with the beam saber, and Tobaya is able to block it with his. But the battle is over before it began, as X1 destroys the Batella. However, the Gundam pilot tells Tobaya to get out of the mobile suit before destroying it. The pirates didn't kill him. He notices that they aren't killing anyone. Tobaya floats back to the Smashian, where he stumbles onto chemical weapons labeled prussic gas. Prussic acid is commonly known as hydrogen cyanide in the West and probably derives from this. He wonders what poison gas is doing on the ship. A ship which is designed to carry exchange students back and forth between two planets. He is grabbed from behind by Professor Karas and is held at gunpoint. He saw something that he shouldn't have, so now he has to die. Over the past 10 years, Karas and Jupiter have been gaining trust of the Earth's sphere, while also smuggling poison gas off, little by little. The two wrestle. Tobaya pulls off the professor's glove, revealing his number. 626. Gundam exists in the Marvel Universe. It's confirmed here, folks. Jupiter plans on conquering the Earth's sphere. He knocks Tobaya to the ground and points his gun at him once again. Suddenly, an explosion is caused by the Gundam outside, creating a hole in the ship. Tobaya is sucked out into space along with the gas canisters. The Gundam pilot gets out and grabs Tobaya. The boy is so confused about what is happening or who to trust. The pilot says he has two choices. He could go back to Earth and pretend like this never happened, or he can help them take down the Jupiter Empire. He introduces himself as Kincaid now, of Crossbone Vanguard. This is Seabook Arno. They are prepping for a battle that no one on Earth knows about. They head back to the Mother Vanguard, where Tobaya meets with the captain, Beryl Rona. She has abandoned the Cecily name and has embraced the Rona lineage. However, she also denounced the Ronas and created her own Crossbone Vanguard faction. She also has a parrot because pirate. Tobaya decides to stay on board and learn the truth. She welcomes him to Crossbone Vanguard. The Smashian leaves the colony and heads towards Earth. Tobaya asks if this is okay to let the Jovian exchange students head back to Earth. He tells him that they won't harm civilians, at least not yet. Kincaid puts him to work peeling potatoes. Tobaya mentions that he learned of Cosmo Babylonia from his history class, and how Barona helped in the downfall of those trying to create an aristocratic society. He then recognizes Kincaid as the F-91 pilot from back in the day. Back in the days, UC-123. Do you feel old yet? In UC-128, they completed the construction of their flagship, Babylonia Vanguard. During their maiden voyage, it had an accident and everyone died on board. To the outside world, they are no longer alive. Bera is taking a shower when she notices someone sneaking around. Kincaid tells Tobaya that they took the name Crossbone Vanguard simply because it was easier for them to gather intel and supplies. That is when Bera and another come running out. It happens to be the little girl that was a stowaway from earlier. She was probably being arrested because she saw the poison gas. They decide to temporarily house her as the Smashian already left for Earth. They force Tobaya to take care of her while on the ship. Kincaid wants to use Tobaya in a mission they have been putting off, but Bera is unsure if he is up to it. They have intel on Meteor 202 and decide to attack. It is an asteroid base. Kincaid launches in Crossbone Gundam X1. The pilot of X2 happens to be Zabine. In F-91, Zabine decided to not follow along with Iron Mask and said, "I don't need to be in the third act of this movie." Bera reminds Zabine not to kill. They head out and begin their attack. The asteroid base launches a missile barrage before sending out mobile suits. Bera wanted to show Tobaya the Jupiter Empire's might. For people who claim to be a colony, they sure have a strong military presence. She tells him that Jupiter has been smart. They have been laying low for decades, just waiting to make their move. They are small, so they have to take out EFF in one fell swoop, which is why they will kill anyone who gets wind of their operation. The asteroid base fires off a nuke. Kincaid fires countermeasures, and everyone braces for impact of the shockwave. Bearer says that defeating Krux Dogatti is the main goal of this revived Crossbone Vanguard. In the presidential office in the Jupiter space colony, Krux Dogatti is informed that Meteor 202 was destroyed. It housed 30% of their missile supplies. He wants his men to use new mobile weapons as a chance to prove himself and to not screw this one up. The Mother Vanguard is currently in low Jupiter orbit. It has been a month since Tobaya has joined the crew. He is struggling to pilot the Batala in low Earth orbit. Bernadette delivers food to the crew. Tobaya tries to hit on her, but Kincaid comes in and pushes him out of the way for some juice. In the day, they train, while at night, Tobaya goes through extensive studying. The ship receives an SOS from low Jupiter orbit. Bearer tells Sabine to kick back and allow Tobaya to go out with Kincaid. He tells him how Sabine and him were rivals 10 years ago. Tobaya says that one day he will be worthy of a Gundam. Kincaid stares at him and says, "You want to try it out? Today could be that day." Sabine notices Kincaid walking around the hangar and wonders who is piloting X1. Tobaya is very wobbly. Kincaid says that he let Tobaya go out because he didn't want to leave him alone in the ship. Zabine still remains loyal to the concept of an aristocratic society, but also he wants Bear to give him kisses. They make it to the ship that sent out an SOS, but out pops the Pez Batala and the Congrejo. The EMA-03 Congrejo is designed to take down warships instead of engaging with mobile suits. It has a powerful megaparticle cannon with the same power of a battleship. For close combat, it must utilize claw arms, which aren't too effective. Other weapons include anti-aircraft guns. The EMS-10 Pez Batala is a variant of the Batala, designed specifically to be an anti-ship weapon. The beam axe is its main weapon, and it usually rushes in and smashes things up with the axe. It should be noted that its head is the beam axe, so it goes in head first, literally. Other weapons include a 3-tube missile launcher, a beam shield, and a beam rifle. The Mother Vanguard has a beam shield that lasts 20 minutes. After that, they are completely vulnerable. Zabina launches an X2 to help, while Kincaid launches in a core fighter. Zabina defends the ship while Tobaya attacks the Congrejo. He tries to stab the mobile armor with the beam saber, but he is grabbed. Kincaid and the core fighter comes in and tells Tobaya to separate. He ejects in his core fighter while Kincaid enters, assuming control of X1. He is able to tear through the mobile armor with ease. The remaining Jupiter fleet retreats. Taking out a base here and there isn't going to help them win. Bera has to conduct that mission. She orders Kincaid and Tobaya to head to the Jupiter colonies and determine the whereabouts of Krux Dogatti. When he gets back, he has to clean the toilets. Tobaya and Kincaid pretend to be space pirate prisoners. They send out a distress signal as the Crossbone Gundams chase after. He is picked up by a man called Burns. They take him back to interrogate him. His ID checks out, but they can't identify Kincaid, who has fake wounds all over his body. As Burns leaves, Kincaid jumps up and takes out the guard. We cut back to the past where Bera is ditching some Jovian prisoners. She doesn't kill them, but she makes them walk the space plank, which is on Jovian route, so they will get picked up. She says at least 8 or 9 of these 13 people will survive. Tobaya wonders why not try to infiltrate the Jovian base pretending to be an abandoned prisoner. Bera says that they tried that, and you don't want to know what happened to those now former team members. Kincaid is getting a number tattooed on his hand and has all his fingerprints changed. He says, "Yeah man, I got it from that dead guy over there." Tobaya says that even though they try not to kill, it is still inevitable in war. If it is inevitable, then why not simply kill? Zabine says that he agrees with what he is thinking. He wants to kill, but will follow Bera's orders. Tobaya never said anything out loud and wonders how he was able to know this. He thinks ending lives will make the war shorter and thus reduce casualties in the long run. Zabine comes off a little strong with Tobaya and freaks him out. He says he is uncertain and runs away. He runs into Bernadette, which is the girl they saved whose name I forgot to mention last time. She is worried about him, and he seems to be into her being worried about him. Oh wow, she cares about me? Man, I like this feeling. That is when Kincaid butts in. Anytime Tobaya tries to make some moves, Kincaid comes in bringing top-notch cringe energy. The old man on board, Uman Saman, says that Tobaya possesses the qualities of a new type. He is a one-year war veteran and claims he is a new type as well. Back during the one-year war, he took down 6 Doms all by himself. Tobaya says, "Cool man," sarcastically, not knowing if he is telling the truth or telling an old man story that most likely doesn't exist. Uman says that once you have 2 to 3 near-death experiences, that is when you unlock your potential. Tobaya says, "I don't want to experience that." Bernadette gives Tobaya her necklace, telling him that he has to return safely. Zabine tells Kincaid to not worry about him around Bera and that he could trust him. "That makes you sound even more sketchy, dude." Their mission is to find the location of their leader, Krux Dogatti. They plan on infiltrating through a hospital. They wield the dead body they had while pretending to be Jovians. Tobaya remembers being told that the thing Jovians value the most is water, as they don't have a lot of it. A little kid comes up to Tobaya. He gives the kid a tank of water, which of course gets him caught. Kincaid continues to play the role of a Jovian quite well as he begins beating up Tobaya for wasting their great leader's water supply. He takes full responsibility and gets the other Jovians off their back. Kincaid picks up a beaten Tobaya, saying, "So, what did we learn about not following the plan?" They make it to the residential block, where Tobaya is surprised to find that they have no artificial gravity. In space, there is no up or down. The further away from the Earth sphere you get, the less important people make of the concept of up and down, and they utilize the space accordingly. They are suddenly surrounded by security mobile suits. A security mobile suit is a small, petite mobile designed with small interventions in mind. It only has 2 machine guns and are fairly useless. They have been discovered. The security mobile suits begin firing towards the two, even attacking their fellow Jovians. They wonder why they would fire on their own people. They run away and stumble onto another colony block, where they find that the other Jovians that they abandoned in space were picked up. However, they learn that Jovians have a strict rule about never leaving your mobile suit, and it is so extreme that they consider this treason. All the Jovians captured by Crossbone Vanguard are sentenced to death. Earlier, when the two were sneaking around the medical block, there was a kid that is wearing what looks like a Court of Owls mask from Batman. He seems to be paralyzed, yet is able to walk. The mysterious man says he is going to take down the space pirates. Tobaya is having a panic attack. He can't believe that they would do this to their own troops. Kincaid says it is to help the people stand up against the tyranny from within. Tobaya realizes that they knew that the Jovians killed their own men when they abandoned them. He says he merely had a suspicion. It's a gray zone that he doesn't bring up to Bera. It seems that he too is skirting around Bera's desires not to kill. Even in war, it is inevitable. He tells Tobaya of how Bera was raised as a working-class girl and always thinks of the little person, and tends to ignore the bigger picture. Is now a good time for a flashback? He doesn't know if it is self-righteousness or merely hypocritical thinking. He doesn't even care if he goes to hell for his actions. He has already made up his mind that he will do anything to protect her. He uses one of the greatest inventions of the 90s to track Krux Dogatti, a floppy disk. They hop on a shuttle while tracking the Jupiter leader. That is when they are met up with the Court of Owls guy. He knows Tobia's name. The man chokes Tobaya with some sort of garrote wire. Kincaid throws some kunais. It hits the man's mask, revealing that it is Professor Karis. Kincaid can't get another hit on him while he is holding Tobaya, but Tobaya headbutts the Jovian. It catches him off guard and Kincaid moves in for the attack. Karis spots the pendant that Bernadette gave him and wonders where he got it. He throws a grenade as the two of them get out of there. Tobaya makes this face. The little girl Tobaya gave water to and her mother help the two flee. They have a secret hideout in what looks like a cafe. They tell Tobaya that not every Jovian approves of the Empire's methods. It has been 7 hours since they left on their mission. That is when they notice an explosion coming from the hangar. The Mother Vanguard and Zabine move in to help him out. Kincaid and Tobaya steal themselves 2 Batalas and they make their escape. But that is when Lieutenant Burns tries to stop them. Tobaya tries to tell Burns that he is working for a fascist, but Burns takes out his anger on the loss of his son on Tobaya. He calls him privileged, taking water and air for granted. They sacrifice so much to achieve what little they have out there. That is when Zabine and Uman come in to help. He takes out Burns' arms and legs, and Crossbone Vanguard makes their retreat. Burns yells out to Tobaya, "There is no room for compromise." They return to the Mother Vanguard, where Bera gives Kincaid kisses. Tobaya walks the other way to not ruin the vibe. Kincaid has been constantly running your vibe. Run it back. They run into Crossbone Vanguard ship number 2, the Little Grey. The Little Grey is a second-generation Vanguard fleet ship like the Mother Vanguard, albeit smaller, with less armaments, and no beam shield. Unlike the Mother, this lacks the Minovsky drives, and takes 3 months to get to Earth, similar to the Jupitrus and the Smash-In. It is not explicitly designed as a cargo ship, but more or less, that is its primary purpose in this story. It is equipped with megaparticle cannons, anti-aircraft guns, and missile launchers. These are the same armaments as the Mother. It has less, but how many exactly is unknown. The captain of this ship is Captain Omno. Because of Kincaid and Tobaya, they learn that Krux is certainly in a mining base located on Io, one of Jupiter's moons. There are currently 282 people strong, but if they send word to others, they can take down the Jupiter Empire. Meanwhile, Bera makes some bread. Her stepfather and her were bakers on Frontier 4 before the events of F-91. She still seems to love the craft. Omno wasn't able to bring more parts for the Zondogays, as they are starting to get on the older side. Also, Omno has a parrot named Haro. They also don't have much to work with, and their Batalas are actually stolen mobile suits from the Jupiter fleet. They also got their hands on some Pez Batalas. Tobaya returns Bernadette's necklace. She tells him that it once belonged to her mother. She is from Earth, and one day she wants to visit their home planet. Barrow wants Bernadette and Tobaya to take the little gray back to Earth. She thinks that he shouldn't involve himself any further as things are about to get dangerous, but he insists that he stays on board to see how things play out. Bernadette is returning to Earth, as this is what she wanted. Later, Omno tries to cheer up Bernadette, but she is nowhere to be found. She snuck back on board the Mother Vanguard. The Mother Vanguard drops into Io's atmosphere. Io has a very thin atmosphere and made mainly of sulfur dioxide. A Jovian base fires a barrage of missiles towards the Mother. 8 battleships retaliate and close in. Along with Congrejos, they also have Erebatos and Batalas riding Theosteeds. The EMS-07 Erebato is a high-performance mobile suit designed to be Krux Dogatti's Royal Guard unit. The base tech is derived from the Batala, but has several shelf nozzles added to the back. Like Crossbone Gundam, they too have long, flexible thrusters designed for low Jupiter orbit. The left claw arm is designed to be able to smash through the Zondogai. The head is designed to hold extra sensors. Also,
I think Ridley Scott's gonna sue somebody.
What are you talking about?
the claw also has a machine gun. Other weapons include a beam saber and a beam rifle. The EMA-02 Thostidi, I don't know, serves 2 roles. It acts as a sublight system that can withstand Io's environment, and it also functions as an assault vehicle. Its only weapon is the twin beam gun. The Mother Vanguard moves into the shadows of Io as Kincaid and the others launch. The Erebato tears through Zondogays. Zabine is in X2, and Tobaya is piloting a Pez Batala. Grandpa Unman, Jared, Harita, and Yonai are all rocking Batalas. As they break through the enemy lines, they are met with Vagons. The MS-09 Vagon is designed to be a ground unit and withstand the environments of Io and Earth. Like many Jupiter mobile suits, it is built off of the Batala. Its legs can retract into its body, and when the wheels are out, they spin really fast and look like Axel from Twisted Metal. It only has a beam rifle. They almost kill Yonai, but Tobaya saves her. Kincaid throws his beam Zamber right into a Vagon's head. He then uses the scissor anchor, which can grapple onto objects, and he could swing around. They assume the Vagons are designed to be for Earth invasion. They wonder why Jovians stopped attacking. Suddenly, lava erupts from the planet. Io has over 400 volcanoes and a temperature of 1,000 degrees Celsius. This is an incredibly hostile environment. Crossbone Vanguard dodges the molten rocks flying everywhere. That is when they are met with the mobile armor Elefante. The EMA-04 Elefante is a prototype mobile armor and is equipped with a single beam cannon called the Flexible Beam Cannon. This gives the cannon a full range of motion. It resembles an elephant's trunk. Along with this, it could also utilize bits via its Psychomu system. This Psychomu is strong enough to jack other mobile armors. It also has a strong eye-field barrier generator, but it is still an eye-field, and shell weapons can penetrate it. The Elefante launches its bits on Crossbone Vanguard. The Elefante begins firing like a madman. It even fires on friendlies. The pilot of the mobile armor says that the Jupiter Empire doesn't need weak people. Old Man Uman and Kincaid focus on the bits. The Elefante grabs Harita's Batala and crushes the mobile suit. No, not Harita. We barely knew ye. They can't get past the unit's eye field. Zabine loses his left leg with the movable beam nose and its eye field. The Elefante doesn't have any blind spots. Everyone is being overwhelmed by the unit, but Tobaya is able to keep up and track their speed. He fires and takes out one bit. Then he charges towards another bit with his axe head on his Pez Padala. He then begins kicking the bits before rushing into the Elefante, attacking it with his axe head. This does some damage to the unit but leaves Tobaya exposed. The Elefante pilot aims the nose at the Pez Padala, but Kincaid comes in and slices off the beam weapon. The mobile armor crashes into the land ship that it can't find any data on. There's a lot of Jupiter vehicles in this with no data. Jupiter in many ways is undercooked in this universe. The Mother Vanguard dives headfirst through the winds of Io and head directly towards the base. The bow of the ship literally rams the base. Oh, this is where Lacus learned it. The Mother Vanguard's bow most likely functions like a giant shot lancer. They fire cannons. One of the masts is destroyed and the engines are shot. The helmsman apologizes and said it was the only way they could have won. Tobaya forgets that he has Yonai in his cockpit. The Crossbone Vanguard crew prepare for the enemy to board the ship. While this is going on, Bernadette is sneaking around. She gets in her Elicar and takes off. Kincaid punches an Erebato, while Zabine proclaims that Cosmo Babylonia will rise again. He says that he has a bad Han Solo about this. Crossbone Vanguard Vanguard begin their assault on the base while Bernadette is on her own mission. Kincaid punches through Krux Dogatti's throne room, and they all go out on foot, surrounding the Jupiter leader. Krux is floating in a bacta tank. Kincaid and the gang unload on Krux, but they learn via the jump scare that this is an android or bio-brain unit. A voice congratulates them. It is the real Krux. He has unloaded his consciousness to a supercomputer and the cloud. On top of that, there are 9 more bio-brain units that more or less will function as the real Krux Dogatti. It's a digital Horcrux. He sets a timer for just over 5 minutes for the base to self-destruct. It was like 5:23 or something. What a weird number to choose. There are thousands of their own men on this base, and he has no qualms blowing them up with the space pirates. The bomb is probably just overloading the generators, so Kincaid heads down to stop it, while the others try to stop it from the bio unit. Vagons attack Kincaid. He calls them idiots for not running away from the explosion. They sig that Dogatti and say they will die for his cause. Also, Krux will execute them for treason if they go against the greater good. He says that a leader doesn't throw people's lives away. Jovian soldiers come to the throne room while Tobaya and the rest are trying to do something to stop the bomb. 30 seconds left. Kincaid isn't going to make it. Someone is leading the Jovians. 3, 2, 1. The bomb doesn't go off. On a surface, one Jovian knows the password to stop the countdown. It happens to be Bernadette. Her real name is Tetaneth, and Krux Dogatti is her father. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the Jupiter sphere, a ship leaves for Earth with a dangerous weapon and a Krux Dogatti bio unit. Crossbone Vanguard has depleted all their resources and put everything into this mission. Many of the Jovians are now leaderless, and everything is now in shambles. Tetaneth has been helpful at earning the trust of the Jovians. They agree to help rebuild the Mother. Everyone feels a sense of loss and failure. Bera activates the Manowski drive. The ship is still heavily damaged, but will make do for now. They set a course for Earth. They will chase Dogatti and ensure he doesn't make it to the Earth sphere. And now Captain Burns is summoned by Professor Karas. They find him to be quite skilled, and they want him on a special team. He notes that this team is young. The leader of this team is Giddy Aspis. Even though they ask him to be on the team, it is an order, so he doesn't have a choice anyways. Tetaneth officially introduces herself to the Mother. She isn't trying to sabotage them. Their involvement was entirely an accident. She was trying to sneak on board the ship heading to Earth because she genuinely wanted to see the Earth with her own eyes. When she ran into Crossbone Vanguard, she pretended to be an exchange student. She wants Bera to take her to Earth with them. She allows her to stay on board. Bera bears parental responsibility for her. Zabina thinks she would make a great prisoner down the line. Bera asks Tetaneth if she wants to get naked and be vulnerable together. She goes, hell yeah. Ooh, bath scene for all you gooners out there. Bera talks about her family lineage, while Tetaneth says she wants to try to persuade her dad to not start a war. Even though they give her her own quarters, there are guards outside her door. People on board still don't trust her. Tobaya sneaks into her room through the air vents. He was prepared to bust her out and even planted bombs, but it seems he didn't have to go through the trouble. He's doing it all to protect her. Later, Kincaid takes Tobaya out for ship maintenance, where he learns about the Manowski drive. It is top secret, and this technology can't get into the hands of the Jovians. Kincaid is worried about morale because he believes that Zabine will try something when morale is low. His instincts are correct. Old man Uman is spying on him when someone knocks him out with a wooden beam. Why does a futuristic spaceship have a piece of wood? Zabine takes Tetaneth hostage and takes control of the bridge. The mutiny begins. Tobaya and Kincaid get back to the ship. Zabine plans on reclaiming the aristocracy of Cosmo Babylonia. He says that Bera is using the name Crossbone Vanguard for her own needs. He plans on surrendering to the Jovians. The Jovians want to take out the Federation, which is what the aristocracy desires. Zabine also says, did you see the Jovians? They died for the greater cause. I would die for an army that would die for me. Look at the loyalty. That is when a ship approaches the Mother Vanguard. He is working with Professor Karas. They want him to return Tetaneth to the Jovian ship, the Gibia. The battleship, the Gibia, is seen in SD Gundam G Generations, but there isn't too much info on this ship. It has 4 high megaparticle cannons and 8 twin anti-air guns. The ship rams the Mother Vanguard, and they take evasive maneuvers. The Gibia seems to grab a hold of the ship, taking it as a prisoner. Kincaid comes in and fights with Zabine. As they are fighting, 3 new mobile suits come in. These are the Corvarze, the Abijo, and the Tortuga. The EMS VS X1 Corvarze is a hyper-specific mobile suit designed to bring down the Crossbone Gundams. Jupiter focuses on general-purpose mobile suits and has no way of creating a mobile suit that outperforms the Gundam in all areas. but it can create a mobile suit that outperforms the Gundam in one area. This unit works in tandem with 2 other units to work together to create a unit that is stronger than the Gundam. They form the Death Gale team. The Corvarze focuses on offensive attacks. Its main weapon is the Snake Hand, which is a giant metal whip built into the right arm. The edge of the weapon contains the beam cutters, which can be used for mid-range attacks. The Snake Hands also has its own beam shield. The other weapons include a large megaparticle cannon on its head. The EMS VS X2 Abiho is the support unit of the Death Gale team. Speed and fire suppression is this unit's specialty. Its 2-barrel needle gun is one of the weaker weapons seen during this time, but it is designed not to damage, but rather distract. No pilot takes the risk that the unit is weak and will evade, so it is highly effective. This is the unit's only weapon. The EMS VSX-3 Tortuga serves as the tank for the Death Gale team and focuses on mid-range attacks and support. The spike shield on its back emits a beam shield which can block attacks from Crossbone Vanguard. The only problem is that the pilot must have his back face the enemy, leaving its front weak. It has 6 fast hardening gas emitters, which when breached releases a gas that quickly hardens into a rubber cement-like substance. It holds an enemy in place and finishes it off with its hammer arms. Other weapons include a beam gun. This is piloted by Giddy, Burns, and a third named Rosemary Raspberry. The 3 are referred to as the Death Gale team. Kincaid notes that they are fast. He can't get the upper hand. Giddy says that they have studied their movements, and their mobile suits are designed to defeat Crossbone Gundam. Abiho distracts. Zabine heads back to the Tobia. He has valuable data about the space pirates. Kincaid is starting to figure out their moves. Tortuga uses his shield and tanks. Another goes in for the attack. Tobaya joins the battle. His axe head is useless. They can't attack the 3 mobile suits, so they focus on directing their attacks on the Tobia. He knew that Tobaya placed bombs all over the ship earlier for Tetaneth and wants to know how he was going to set them off. He actually just set the vernier thrusters to go haywire. Kincaid has a plan. The 3 mobile suits go in to attack Crossbone Gundam. He dodges Abiho and Corvarze and heads directly towards Tortuga. He tackles the chunky mobile suit into Mother Vanguard. That is when Tobaya activates the sail and verniers. The Tortuga goes up in flames, and the mass of the Mother Vanguard is destroyed once again. The Mother Vanguard is free of the Jibia's grips. Professor Kars boards the Mother Vanguard. The Tortuga is still alive, and he and the Abiha still want to take out the Gundam, but they are ordered to return to the Jibia. That is when Barrett informs the pilots that Professor Kars kidnapped Titaneth. Tobaya grabs the 2, fleeing on a jetpack. Kars opens Tobia's hatch and shoots him. Kincaid just sees his Pez Battala go up in flames. He wakes up chained up as a prisoner. He could feel his gunshot wound. He has been sentenced to death by a Jupiter tribunal and will be executed tomorrow. Tetaneth visits her father, Krux Dogatti, or at least one of the biocomputers. She says that she wants to speak to her real father, but this is now his real form. She wants him to stop his invasion of Earth, but she reminds him that everything the Jupiter needs to survive doesn't come from Earth. He has bigger plans with Earth than merely conquering it. Giddy is torturing Zabine. They are trying to break him to make sure that he isn't going to double-cross them. While he is doing that, Burns asks Rosemary about Giddy. He seems to be Jupiter's golden child. He is a new type who has been through elite training. Tobias's execution is being held in a public coliseum built on a ship? Seems like a waste of space. It is gladiator rules. Professor Kars wants him to survive so he could become his student once again. He seems to be trying to groom him. Tobias's opponent is X2. Rosemary is piloting the Gundam. Tobias says, "You just give me a gun and my opponent has an entire mobile suit? What kind of bullshit is this?" Rosemary begins playing with him. Tobias shoots at the mobile suit's hand, setting off the dummy balloon. He rides on the balloon and it explodes, covering the Gundam sensor. Like an idiot, Rosemary gets out of the Gundam and Tobia jacks it. The Jovians begin firing on the mobile suit. Tobia grabs Tetaneth and they get out of there. The Jupiter fleet chases down the Gundam, but it was a distraction. They are still on board the Jovian ship stealing propellant for the core fighter that they escaped in, but Burns is able to find them. He says that he will allow the kid to escape and he will look the other way, but Tetaneth has to stay. She agrees and says that Tobia will be able to save her again in the future. She gives Tobia a kiss. Tobia takes off on the core fighter. They were out in the middle of nowhere, and there should have been no way for anyone to survive. But they find out that Tobia was not only able to survive, but he made it back to the Mother Vanguard in one piece. Krux wonders if he is a new type. 3 days later, Tobia was able to make it back to the Mother Vanguard. Uman chalks it up to new type intuition. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to bring back Bernadette/Tetaneth. He tells Barra that he heard Krux mention that he doesn't need Earth anymore. Many space noids adapt to their surroundings, and Jovians are no different. But their detachment from Earth makes them seem less human. Perhaps he is planning something even more devastating. Traveling between planets requires a lot of fuel and power. Any mobile suit that strays too far from the mothership will never be able to catch back up to them. They were initially going to take a short route and beat Crux's Jupiterus to Earth. However, the ship and the mast has extensive damage, and they won't be the first ones to arrive. All they could do is wait. They're going over the battle data on the Death Gale team's mobile suits. Uman suggests that range will determine victory, so he suggests that they extend the range for their weapons. They have plenty of time during their slow trip back to Earth. It will take another 2.5 months. Meanwhile, Krux Dogatti has already made it to Earth and introduced himself to EFF as an ambassador from Jupiter. Bera gets word that Sheridan and the EOS Nyx has some supplies for them. EFF has doubled their defenses around the Earth sphere, and SNRI hasn't been able to get supplies out to Crossbone Vanguard, so they sent Sheridan as a middleman. Bera tells Tobaya that Sheridan is her cousin, who still is dedicated to resurrecting the aristocracy. They send them a rendezvous location. Uman gives Tobaya a history lesson on the aristocracies, but he doesn't seem to get it and finds it dumb. Bera reminds him that there are people on this ship that were once a part of that class. They meet up with the EOS Nyx and with Sheridan, who Bera just calls Sherry. The first thing she says is that Tobaya still isn't a true new type. In the hangar, they receive a new model. It is the X3. The XM X3 Crossbone Gundam X3 veers from the design of X1 and X2. Instead of beam shields, it has arm-mounted eye-field generators. Unlike a beam shield, an eye-field can block a VSBR, though it has a cooldown time. The main weapon is the Muramasa Blaster, which emits 14 beam sabers and has a beam gun at the tip. These are so powerful that only the unit's own eye-field can stop it. Other weapons include Vulcans, a mega machine gun, a beam saber, a heat dagger, the scissor anchor, and the beam zamber. It also has dummy balloons, anti-beam coating, and the face vent. Tobaya wonders who the pilot will be, but Uman says, definitely not you. It's totally gonna be him. Bera and Sheridan have a discussion over a cup of tea. She says that the boy doesn't know it, but he seems to have great new type potential. She says, I must have him. She's kind of a new type collector. Bera says that it is not her choice to make, but that isn't why she is here. She is here to convince her to stop fighting with the Jupiter Empire. Her collection of new types and wanting to buy it isn't just for fun. She is waiting for an era when new types can be the driving force of humanity. She believes that for that to happen, the Earth must remain undisturbed. She believes that Crossbone Vanguard's involvement would potentially cause the world to return to a state of war, where many lives will once again be lost. She doesn't want Bera to let this happen and wants her to rather come to the negotiating table. For Sheridan, she just wants the world to remain intact so they can reach the point where new types can eventually take over. The future of new types is in the Space Noid. Ultimately, she doesn't care who is in charge of Earth so long as less people die. And Krux Dogatti's covert plan to take over seems to end with less lives lost, at least according to her. She isn't having any of this. Sheridan thought that Bera would actually say this, so they laid a trap for her. They're suddenly surrounded by EFF forces. The Federation launches the mass production Type F91s, with the exception of the biosensor, the multiple construction armor, and the metal peel-off effect. These units are identical to the unit we saw 10 years ago. Only pilots that go on to modify this unit will have access to the face vents. With the F91s are the new balls, called the 133s. The RB-133 Ball Model 133 is the successor to the original ball and functions as a support unit to F91. The Federation refers to this as their high-low mix concept. They take a high-end unit like F91 and pair it with many low-end support units, in this case, the 133. Everything has been improved from the original ball, but it is still considered a flying coffin by its pilots. It is equipped with the triple cannon, which is just 3 of the original single cannons used by the RG ball fused together. It also has 30mm Vulcans. Also, among the Federation forces is the new Reinforced class ship. The Reinforced light cruiser evolved from the Cloud class ship and the Space Ark class ship. Unlike the Space Ark, the Reinforced class miniaturizes the radiator fins and relocates them under the ship. This allows fuel and power consumption to be reduced greatly. Because of the reduction of size of the radiators, it could add 4 twin megaparticle cannons. This will be in service all the way up until the UC-150s. Other weapons include 8 triple anti-aircraft guns and 4 missile launchers. EFF orders them to follow them back to a Federation station. Bera is left with no choice but to listen to their commands. Their ship and mobile suits are still heavily damaged. Even if they were to defeat EFF, they would be weak when they face the Jupiter fleet. They can't win this. On top of that, EFF isn't their enemy. They still don't know of Jupiter's fleet's true intentions. Attacking them would make them seem like the pirates they think they are. EFF thanks Sheridan for her help. She also took Tobaya as a prisoner. She says she is trying to protect him to turn him into a great new type. Bearer seems to be at a breaking point, and Kincaid embraces her. It is going to be a long escort. They will just wait for their opportunity to make the right move. Kincaid gets nostalgic seeing the F-91. He mentions that the unit's VSBR system is still something not to take lightly, even after 10 years. For those who forget, VSBR means Variable Speed Beam Rifle. That is when Zabine in the X2 comes in and makes things complicated by attacking one of the Federation ships. Wildcard, bitches! EFF thinks that the space pirates are tricking them, so they engage in combat. They have no choice but to head out to fight. Kincaid tells the Crossbone Vanguard team that their beam shields won't work on the VSBR. He demonstrates that the pilot indeed makes the mobile suit as he tears through 2 units with ease. However, one pilot exhibits great skills as he gets a hit on X1. The Mother has taken too much damage. Barra needs to escape. In the distance, the Death Gale team approaches the battle. Taking out the space pirates here will allow Jupiter to move their fleet closer to Earth. The F-91 fires the VSBR. Kincaid takes his beam shields and throws the 2 of them and unsheaths his beam Zamber. The VSBR's beam is weakened by the 2 shields, and the Zamber is able to take the rest of the blast. This would have killed Kincaid if it was a direct hit. He goes in to destroy F-91's limbs. He doesn't kill the pilot and tells him that they are not his enemy before heading back to the ship. Giddy and the Quavarze surrounds the Mother Vanguard with a team of Batalas. On the Jupitrus, Krux is forcing Tetaneth to go out in the new mobile armor. She won't actually be piloting anything. She will just sit in the cockpit, and Krux will do most of the work. If she dies, well then, it will just boost morale for the people. She says that her father is gone. He agrees as he essentially is just a ghost in the shell and isn't tied down to any body. She launches in the Elegolia, or Elegoria. The EMA-06 Elegolia is a transformable mobile armor that resembles a snake. Like the Elefante's flexible nose cannon, this has a flexible tail cannon. Its main feature is the organic computer control system, which allows Krux to control the unit remotely. Other weapons include 3 megaparticle cannons on the left shoulder, and a large heat glaive, which we will also see used by the Diona. Tobaya is able to break out of his cell, but Sheridan is able to find him due to her new type powers. She tells him that she won't make it to the Mother Vanguard and they will be destroyed. She suggests that he forget about them and look to the future as a new type. Tobaya didn't understand why Barra allows her enemies to walk the plank instead of killing them, but he is starting to realize that her methods are better than whatever the hell this is. He doesn't want to be a new type if it means leaving humanity behind. Her and her men won't allow him to leave. She threatens to shoot him. Tobaya decides to give Sheridan equal rights and equal lefts. He says the bright slap isn't enough. It's time to use my fists. He makes her bleed and grabs one of her guard's knife. He takes it and cuts his forearm. It's so fast, but he's trying to show that he bleeds just like her, meaning they are the same and she isn't above anyone. But this should be like a single panel splash page instead of one tiny panel on a 7-panel page. He runs off and Sheridan lets him go. Her security guards were useless too, just stood there and watched. Tobaya runs into the hangar and gets into X3. A squad of Dionas guard the Elegolia. The EMS-08 Diona was designed for demonstration purposes, but supposedly they are on par with the Erebato. Its only weapon is a beam rifle, but these units guarding the Elegolia also are equipped with a large heat naginata. Tobaya in X3 comes in attacking Dionas. They fire on him and he uses his eye field. He didn't realize it requires a cooldown and uses it all up at once. He now has to wait 1 minute and 45 seconds for the cooldown. He is able to take out some of the Dionas. Tobaya contacts Kincaid, who tells him to escape with the Mother Vanguard crew as the ship is going down, and Barra activated the self-destruct. Kincaid is holding his own with the Death Gale team, but that is when Zabine and X2 come in. The two engage in battle. The X3 takes down more Dionas. The face on the Diona is so uncanny. Tobaya doesn't know how to use the Muramasa blaster. The Elegolia approaches and begins fighting X3. Tetaneth tells Tobaya that she is inside the mobile armor, but not in control of it. That is when Krux comes on the comms. Krux comes on the comm sounds like a metal song. The mobile armor shoots, but Tobaya activates his eye field. Time to cool down again. The Elegoria rams X3. He still has 15 seconds left until he could use the eye field. The Elegolia takes the Muramasa blaster and turns off the safety, activating the rapier-like beam weapons. As the mobile armor swings down, Tobaya is able to block the attack with his hand. Tobaya takes the Muramasa blaster and shoves it into the Elegolia. The power begins failing. He rips open the cockpit and grabs Bernadette. Krux says that she doesn't belong to you. But Tobaya says, bitch, I'm a pirate. I'll plunder. Nice one-liner, bro. As he snatches her pod. The Elegolia does tail whip. It's not very effective. The X3 goes in for one final swing with the Muramasa blaster and shatters the mobile armor. Bernadette breaks out of her pod and into Tobaya's arms. Kincaid and Zabine continue their fight. His mobile suit is at its limits. Barrow rushes out to the hangar and grabs one of the core fighters. She says she wouldn't be here without Kincaid and must try to save him. Zabine whines to Kincaid about the princess falling in love with a commoner. Barrow rushes him with supplies, but Zabine throws a beam saber, hitting her core fighter. X1 tries to grab the supplies, but Zabine is faster and stabs X1 and tears off the Gundam head. He pushes the unit into Earth orbit. Barrow yells out Kincaid's real name, Sibu. 15 seconds until the Mother Vanguard self-destructs. Tobaya and X3 quickly grabs Barrow and the core fighter. I love how the variable cross thrusters fold up. Such a nice little detail. He gets out of there as fast as he can as the Mother Vanguard self-destructs. Krux contacts the EFF fleet that helped him and thanks them. He cackles like the evil villain he is. Tobaya and Bernadette crash land on Earth. Both are passed out, but Tobaya wakes up and is startled by wildlife. 10 days have passed since the Mother Vanguard self-destructed. The ship was designed for Cosmo Babylonia and Crossbone Vanguard's invasion of Earth. The ship has a series of re-entry capsules. They disguise the capsules to look like debris falling to Earth. Everyone made it out. Wait a minute, are you telling me that Tobaya grabbed Barra, then went back to the Mother Vanguard, then they got into capsules, and then they launched to Earth all in a matter of 15 seconds before the ship self-destructed? I'm a little skeptical about that one. Since landing on Earth, they have been taking refuge with a lumberjack. The lumberjack also has a pet chimp, or maybe it's his chimp wife. I don't know how far humanity has dived into sexual exploration in Universal Century. Who knows? Tobaya goes to visit Bernadette, who is still struggling to walk. Jovians can't handle gravity well, it seems. Krux put Bernadette/Tetaneth on the battlefield on purpose. She is starting to believe that he probably let Tobaya take her. Later that night, Tobaya can't sleep because of the lumberjack snoring. Not just that, but the wildlife that comes alive at night is making him uneasy. That is one thing that space noids have over Earth noids. They no longer live in fear of being eaten by another species. But on Earth, that still is very much a problem, and you are still a part of the food chain. It must blow a space noid's mind when you tell them that you can be eaten on Earth. Tobaya does mention that Earth noids sure must be strong to have that kind of fortitude. He spots Barra looking over a lake. She tells him about the past when Seabook and her went out on a lake like this one. He tells Tobaya of Kincaid's real name. Ever since she decided to use the Mother Vanguard to take down the Jupiter Empire, he went by the name Kincaid now and never left her side. He wonders if they are a couple. She tells him that they were for a time, but since she has become captain, they really didn't have time to build their relationship. It seems him being Kincaid is also him playing a role, and with that they became distant, I guess. It kind of makes no sense. Taking down an empire together as lovers sounds like the best way to build your relationship. And your sex life. She has lost hope that Kincaid is still alive, but Tobaya tells her to not give up. The next day, the lumberjack yells for Tobaya. On a television, a news broadcaster shows breaking news of the Jovians attacking the Federation. They use nuclear weapons on Satellite 307. An EFF commander gets into communication with Krux and informs him that they have broken the Antarctic Treaty. Krux says that this is a treaty between the people of the Earth sphere. The Jovians weren't a part of the one-year war and didn't agree upon anything. He says in 48 hours, they will conduct a nuclear attack on Earth. They will destroy the Earthnoids and build from the ashes. This will make 60% of the world uninhabitable. They will build from the remaining 40%. They begin their invasion. The lumberjack needs to go to the city for parts to help out Tobaya in his mobile suit. Tobaya volunteers to get the parts, but it is 10 kilometers from their location and he will have to walk. This confuses Tobaya as most people travel via Elokar or something. He says, "This is Earth, boy. Better get to walking." As a colony is typically only 12 meters in length, he is walking an entire colony, which is a lot for him. He realizes how big the Earth is compared to the colonies. A deer gives him a jump scare. He's never seen anything bigger than a dog in his life. It is already starting to get dark and he is running late. As he goes through the forest, suddenly the Quavarze comes in, deforesting the area. The Death Gale team captures Tobaya and everyone back at the house. The lumberjack says, "How dare you wear your shoes in my house?" Priorities. The TV is on and the news reports that Federation Spaceport number 7 was taken out by 3 mobile suits. That was the Death Gale team's doing. Giddy tells them that they lied to their men. They think that they will be getting the remaining 40%, but the nuclear attack is going to wipe out the entire Earth. Tobaya thinks about his new deer friend, and he gets sad thinking about the destruction of the ecosystem. Destroying EFF is only a side effect. In reality, Krux desires the destruction of Earth to control the colonies. Earth Earth is just a place of trade for them. They are merely a resource. With everyone dead, the Earth can be harvested for its resources and used for the colonies. Essentially, the Earth will become a giant farm for the colonies. Yeah, but I wouldn't want to drink that water after you drop those nukes. Plutonium. Giddy also can't handle the chirping of bugs at night, so he shoots into the night sky trying to shut them up. This startles the lumberjack's pet chimp / lover. He turns on a hologram message from Cars. The professor wants Tobaya to return to him and help build the future of Jupiter. Krux has no use for Bernadette, so Giddy will take her to be his own personal sex slave. He gets a little handsy with her when suddenly a mobile worker crashes into the house. Who is driving? Oh no, Ape is driving. They all get out of there while Monkey holds them off. They head off to the X3 hidden in the forest. He got the part he needs to make it work. But how? You didn't even make it into town to get supplies. We get the cliche where the mobile suit doesn't work, but then someone hits it really hard and it eventually works. It's been a while since we've seen this cliche. Welcome back. The Gale team gets into their mobile suits and smash the mobile worker. It's okay, the ape jumped out before getting injured. Also, the ape's name's Sebastian. Still could be his wife though. As Tobaya activates Crossbone, the lumberjack and girls flee in an Ella car. Where did that car come from? You just lectured them on walking. I assume it was stolen from the Jovians, but you didn't show that. Tobaya jumps up and swiftly drops down. He isn't used to fighting in Earth's gravity. The Tortuga goes in with the hammer arms. He also notices that the Gale team also isn't used to gravity either. He doesn't have any weapons to work with, so he grabs a tree and chucks it at the Corvarze. This distracts Giddy, and Tobaya is able to grab his tail. He does a Bowser swing on the Corvarze and throws the mobile suit right into the Abiho. While distracted, he grabs Abiho and tells Rosemary Marie to jump out. He uses his Vulcans to destroy the unit. One down. The Tortuga comes in for another attack. X3 hides in the escape capsule that brought him to Earth. Suddenly, a beam comes from within. His weapons were contained within the capsule. He gets the fast hardening gas emitter on the capsule, which causes the capsule to stick to his unit. Tortuga can't move. Tobaya goes in with the beam saber and stabs him in the armpit. I guess that's the weak spot. Tobaya wonders if Burns is alright. That is when Corvarze chokes X3 from behind with its whips. Somewhere in the distance, a cloak moves swiftly in the wind. It is Kincaid. He comes on the comms just as Tobaya loses hope, telling him to increase his top thrusters. He gets out of Giddy's attack. That is when Kincaid makes it to the battlefield. He uses the new Screw Whip, which is a beam whip that can drill into the unit. Kincaid gets the upper hand and takes down Corvarze. Tobaya rushes to Kincaid, amazed that he is still alive. He was in critical condition and only woke up 4 days ago. Giddy gets out of the mobile suit and points a gun at the two Gundam pilots. He says that he was supposed to be Professor Kars's best student. Since he failed, he decides to kill himself. He points the gun to his head, but Byrne takes the gun out of his hands. The Federation comes looking for them, and they head back to the others. Bear comes to greet Kincaid. He looks down at his arm and notices he has a prosthetic now. His face is also wrapped in bandages in the most Char way possible. They are hiding out in an abandoned shack. The Gale team is with him and still alive. Burns tells Tobaya that the Jupiter forces does have a weak spot. Kincaid gathers Tobaya and they head to an EFF base for another mission. Crossbone Gundam will play a vital role. They take off on a shuttle where Tobaya instantly passes out. Kincaid allows him and says when he wakes up, it will be time for the final battle. Krux is finishing taking down one of EFF's final satellites orbiting the world. With this out of the way, the Federation will be defenseless. Kars isn't really sad that he lost Giddy, his best new type. He is a survival of the fittest type of person. Krux asks Zamine what he desires. He tells him that all he wants is to restore the aristocracy. Krux plans on giving the Earth to either Zabine or Karas, whoever survives the outcome, essentially. Meanwhile, Sheridan is really regretting taking down the Mother Vanguard. They need Earth to cultivate the future of new types, and will now have to rely on Krux to keep the Earth stable until new types can take over. You know, I really don't understand how the Earth is important for the cultivation of new types, considering most new types are created from third-generation Spacenoids or later. It seems clear that she ultimately wants the same outcome as Krux. She just isn't trying to force progress and actually lets it play out naturally. A base on Earth is being infiltrated by mobile suits. These are the Flints. The XM10 Flint is a mass-produced version of Crossbone Gundam developed by SNRI. Many of the features, like the radiation shield, have been removed, but it does retain the variable thrusters. It also retains many of the same weapons as the original Crossbone Gundam, with the exception of the modified beam Zamber and a 120mm machine gun. This model will be given to the Federation after the war to appease EFF once they found out that SNRI was working with Crossbone Vanguard. Uman is piloting one of the units. Kincaid and Tobaya drop down to meet up with the team. As they go in, Kincaid tells Tobaya that he used his beam shield while re-entering Earth's atmosphere instead of a balut system. It was said to be theoretically possible, but Kincaid is the first person to put this theory to test. The Federation forces put up the white flag at the base. There aren't any weapons at the base, but there are a reserve of nukes stored there. They plan on launching the nukes against the Jupiter fleet. This is their only option. Sheridan sent Tobaya an email wanting him to join her new type clan after this battle is over, but he has no intentions of helping her, as he doesn't think he is a new type. Bernadette tells him that he thinks that her father is dead, and the clones are just a mere husk of his former self. Meanwhile, Bear knows that Kincaid has to fight, but she tells him to stay by her side. Of course, he must end this, so she can return to Cecilia Fairchild. You know, this is just a metaphor you created for yourself. She's standing right in front of you. They give each other one very awkward kiss. Why are you doing it like that? Someone teach these two how to kiss. They prepare for launch. When I said they were launching the nukes with their Gundams, I meant literally. Their Gundams are literally attached to the rockets. This is some G-Gundam nonsense. They only have 6 hours left. Tobaya tells Bara that he will be the one who protects Kincaid. Tobaya sends a response letter to Sheridan. She opens the letter. The first thing it says is, "Can you walk 12 kilometers on a mountain road in a single day?" New types are supposed to be beings that are able to adapt to their environment, but even he struggled to walk on Earth. It is a reminder of how important Earth is to new types. It is, after all, still the birthplace of humanity. The rockets launch. As they break through the atmosphere, they activate their beam shields. Tobaya says to God that a mortal will handle this, and he doesn't need to do anything. Tobaya just told God to kick back and take a break. He's got this. The Jupiter fleet and the Federation have been fighting nonstop for the past 2 days. EFF's defenses are completely wrecked. Jupiter notices forces coming from Earth. It is Crossbone Vanguard. They rush in and launch the nukes at the Jupiter's class ship, critically damaging it. Krux can't rely on his men, so he decides to go out and finish this himself. He activates all of the remaining biocomputers. Tobaya celebrates, but Kincaid can still feel Crux's presence. X1 and X3 are separated. Many Federation units go down with a single attack. It is Kars in the Nautilus. The EMA-07 Nautilus is a prototype mobile armor used by Professor Kars. This unit only has 2 weapons, a giant beam cannon on the front of the unit and a hyper-vibrating cutting wire. This unit is powerful and requires a skilled pilot to use it in a more subtle manner. He is with a team of new types piloting the Corvarze mass production type. The EMS VSX-1C Corvarze mass production type is a slimmed-down version of the Corvarze, which doesn't have the transformation system of the original. However, the legs tuck into the unit like the Bataya. This version also has only one snake hand, allowing the mobile unit to hold a beam rifle. Other weapons include a large megaparticle cannon and a beam gun. That is when giant mobile armors begin launching from the downed Jupitrus. These are Divinidads. The EMA-10 Divinidad is a giant prototype mobile armor. Its main weapon is the funnel feathers. These are giant funnels stored in the wings designed to ram into enemy units. The funnels don't have their own beam weapons and in many ways work like the psychoplates. It also contains a giant megaparticle cannon on its left eye. It uses the organic computer control system to allow all 8 Krux biocomputers to operate the Divinidads. Other weapons include a medium beam cannon, a beam shield, and nuclear missiles. The funnels are controlled through the Psychomu system. One tears through a Space Art class ship with ease. Or is it a reinforced class ship? Whatever, it is now in pieces. One thing to note is that both Kincaid and Zabine's Crossbone Gundams have received upgrades. The XM X1 Crossbone Gundam X1 Kai, goddamn that's a mouthful, is an upgraded version of the X1 with enhanced sights. The main addition to the unit is the Screw Whip, which is similar to the Corvarze's Snake Hands. The tip of the whip can drill into an enemy's unit. The scissor anchor was replaced with this weapon. The XM X2EX Crossbone Gundam X2 Kai is a modified version of X2. The core fighter was lost and replaced. Because of this, new thrusters were added to the unit that is equivalent to the variable thrusters. However, due to no core fighter, there are also no escape pods. All weapons are the same as the X2. The two meet on the battlefield and begin fighting. Meanwhile, Tobaya and Kars continue fighting. The X3 is able to tear through some of Kars' wingmen. The professor gives Tobaya a history lesson on evolution and tells him that the Jovians are aliens and the Earthnoids created their own enemy. He dodges the mobile armor and rushes in, attacking Kars. He critically damages the Nautilus. The professor praises Tobaya for being so powerful. Behind X3 is one of the Corvarze mass production types. He has a wide open shot to hit Tobaya in the back. Bakars in the burning Nautilus says that Tobaya won, and he shall not stand in the way of the victor. He shoots down one of his own men before going up in flames and dying. The Jupiter fleet is losing its forces fast. They spot another force coming to the battlefield. It happens to be Sheridan and the Space Noid forces. One thing this manga does is breeze past Cosmo Babylonia. We still don't know what happened between Bera and the old Crossbone Vanguard over the past 10 years. But it is clear that the aristocracy did indeed succeed in taking over the Space Noids, as Sheridan has the power to command Space Noid forces. For a change of pace, the Space Noids are the one protecting the Earth from destruction. The burning Jupiterus launches more pods containing Divinidads. One breaks out of the pod before entering Earth's atmosphere. Bera and Bernadette are still on Earth. She calls out to her mother, begging her to protect everyone. Kincaid notes that the Divinidads have a bunch of nuclear reactors on them. If they all go off at the same time, then who knows how much damage it will do to the Earth. Tobaya promised that he would protect Kincaid, and he pushes one of the Divinidads to Earth's atmosphere. They crash down onto Earth's surface. He tries to dismember the unit to prevent any nuclear reactors from going off. Krux himself doesn't seem to be the best pilot. Tobaya could get the advantage. Back in space, the Space Noids help turn the tide of war, and the Jupiter fleet begins to fall. Krux reveals his true intentions. He says that for 75 years, he has built Jupiter into what it is. They were able to do so because they limited food and water to its people, and they grew slowly. The Federation, in return, provided barely any resources for them. Eventually, they wanted to form a union between Earth and Jupiter. They made him marry someone from the royal Earth family to create a union between the two nations. But nothing came of it. All he got was a young wife who bared him a child. But he resented her. His daughter is a symbol for what Earth truly represents. In the end, Krux is just a giant baby throwing a tantrum for the world who rejected him. Tobaya is somewhat relieved because this tantrum shows that he truly is human after all. Krux tries to use the Mega Beam cannon. Tobaya rushes in and uses his eye field in close range, causing the beam blast to implode on itself. Kincaid comes in to help Tobaya. He sees Krux's mobile armor go up in flames. As he burns to death, he seems to be in delusion, thinking that the Earth is burning when it is in fact him. Kincaid says this is a delusion, but even you aren't allowed to have this delusion. He kills him quickly to end his madness. Tobaya believes that humans still have plenty of growing to do before new types take over. He and Kincaid regroup with the others. Bera takes off his mask, where he now has a scar over his eye. Kincaid gives Tobaya the X3 to have. He is officially dead. He wants to go back into space to help the Space Noids and Earth Noids live together in peace. Kincaid has all the time in the world to go be with the person that he loves. Kincaid and Bera can now return to being Seabook and Cecily. Tobaya and Seabook bid each other farewell. He and Cecily disappear to enjoy the rest of their life on Earth. Even though they are gone, the name Crossbone Vanguard continues to exist amongst the people. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Crossbone Gundam. What a fun story, albeit not without its flaws. I wish we got to see the pirates take all the biocomputers down one by one in unique ways instead of one final blow. But what are you gonna do? Also, why was his biocomputers piloting it instead of remote piloting it like the previous battle? I have some questions. Whether you like it or not, the series is definitely one of the most deserving of an anime series. As we continue through Universal Century, our story with Tobaya doesn't end. Next time, we will dive into Crossbone Gundam Skull Heart and Steel 7. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, never let anyone who's never experienced gravity tell you that you're weak. Peace.